the big news to come out of camp was that everyone felt like Jaren Jackson was sort of the standout guy from the camp. Defensive player of the year guy, going into FIBA, no 3 seconds in the paint defensively. Is he just going to terrorize the rest of the world?
If he's on the court.
That's kind of the trick with him, right? Like the foul trouble, only 5 fouls in international play. So, I mean, I guess with the 5 fouls being a potential issue, but no 3 seconds, I mean, he could still have high impact even in only 20 minutes. Because remember, it's only a 40-minute game.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
it's
mean, he
interesting
led.
because it can kind of go both ways for Jaren, because you can also say the international game is a little bit more physical. They'll allow him to be a little bit more handsy, especially he's a guy who can defend on the perimeter. So if you switch him out on the smaller guys, he can get away with certain things that he doesn't get away with in the NBA. But I think you saw in that Puerto Rico game that his shot blocking is going to be huge for this team. Just his ability to block shots with both hands. He times it so well at the rim. I think his defensive abilities can really stand out in the international game. And I think offensively, we saw him really make some improvements last year with the Grizzlies that I think I saw a little bit during my time in Vegas, where his ability to roll and just have touch around the rim, I think is going to be big for what happened guys like Halliburton and Jalen Brunson at the point guard who can get him easier shots. So yeah, you can really see him being a huge part of this team's success.
And Joe, international basketball is kind of an inside out game. Is Jaren going to be as useful offensively, stretching the floor? I mean, it seems like having a post presence would be important for Team USA. Is he going to be able to provide any of that when he's playing the five?
Well, I mean, I know that he certainly intends to, and they love him for that very reason, that he's a guy that they could throw the ball into. It's something that Team USA they don't feel like they've had in a while. We got to go back to the fouls thing for a minute. I mean, he led the NBA in fouls at like 3.58 per game or something like that. And as we know, as you've said, it's a six in the NBA. It's a 6 foul game. In FIBA, it's only 5. But when I was talking about this with him the other day, he made the point that he picks up a bunch of fouls too with the ball in his hands. That he gets called for charges, he gets called for those kinds of things, because he uses possessions with the Grizzlies. And I think that is where he needs to be careful. He is a stretch 5. Well, I mean, he's a 4, but for the USA, he's going to play the 5. And he does shoot threes. He'll certainly get the opportunity to do that. But he needs to be careful leaning into the defender with the ball in his hands. He likes to take that angle towards the rim where he is the other side, like he's beyond vertical. He's leaning towards the rim, and he's got to be careful there because, again, if you only have 5 to work with and he's going to be chasing the shots that he's chasing, he needs all 5 of those fouls on the defensive end. And against Puerto Rico, he had already had 3 fouls. By like the 8:30 mark of the third period, against a better team that puts them in trouble. So they're going to use him offensively. He gives them things that Team USA hasn't had in a while, but he's got to be careful when he does have it.
Yeah, I mean, look, they have Greece in their group, and that's a seasoned team that, I mean, has been together for a while. They have a lot of continuity, and they're physical. So if he tries to match that physicality, I mean, there's a world in which he is in foul trouble pretty early. And if he's in foul trouble, Team USA is in big time trouble because it's not like they have a ton of guys to replace him. Will.
Yeah, I think that's the spot where you see probably the least depth on this team is at the 5 spot. Because even though Bobby Portis had like a really good game against Puerto Rico, and the fans in there were screaming Bobby the whole game, which was hilarious. But I think Bobby's a little smaller compared to some of the 5s you'll see in this tournament, and they also have Walker Kessler, who's a younger guy. Not sure you could really throw him in those big moments and really know what you're getting from him. So yeah, they're going to need Jaren Jackson to be in the game, play these big moments, be in there during these fourth quarters. And Joe's exactly right that he's got to be smart with the way he defends, because we know he jumps, on pump fakes a good bit. That gets him in trouble. Like I said, he could be a little bit handsy when he's defending smaller guys on the perimeter. So they're going to need him to be smart and be, in during those big moments. Because we know this team wants to run. They want to, take risks going after steals and stuff like that so they can get out in transition. And that's going to leave him exposed a good bit, covering the rim. So he's got to be smart with the way he's defending. Because I think we saw a little bit of Paulo Banchero at the 5 as well in that Puerto Rico game. I don't know if you can get away with that against some of these experienced teams you're going to see in the FIBA tournament. So yeah, him being in the game and playing smart is going to be extremely important for this team.